Hello and welcome. Well, Keir Starmer is not stepping down. Keir Starmer is going to continue. Keir Starmer will not walk away. Keir Starmer will keep going until the job is done. But what job is that exactly? Destroying the country? Certainly, I suspect many of us will be done in before Keir is done. However, it's unlikely that he will last in that PM position for too much longer. Perhaps he'll try and do as much good as he possibly can in the time that he remains in office. But one thing is for sure, leaving office he will be doing relatively soon. It's just that he hasn't quite understood the gravity or hopelessness of his situation. Or perhaps another way to think about it is his ego hasn't caught up with what a screw up his PMship has been and his government have turned out to be. Again, good people in there, but who would you choose from them to replace Keir? See, here's the issue. We all know that after, or many of us, most of us know that after 14 years of the Tories, the country was pretty much on its knees. People felt depressed, beleaguered. So it was like anyone but them. So the Labour landslide victory was more about a rebound, from a romance. That was so toxic. Who else is there? Oh, I don't really fancy them very much, and I don't really know what they're on about, but my goodness, it won't be as bad as that other shower. Well, it wasn't as bad. It was an awful lot worse than that. Labour, under Keir, have managed to, as I've said and many other people have said before, in 14 months, far less 14 years, do more damage in so many different areas. Yes, they've done some good stuff, some good things, but it's overshadowed by this oppressive weight that seems to hang over the country and so many of us, because we just know this leader, this team seem to be out of touch with us, with everything, with our true concerns. And so, let us then have a little think about Labour generally. Are they fit for purpose? Should we continue to hope that they can turn things around? Well, we're going to listen to an investigative journalist called Paul Holden. He's been interviewed in this podcast, Declassified. And after that, we'll take a little look at reform, because just like 14 years, or after 14 years of the Tories, it was like anybody but the Tories. Now it's like anybody but Labour. And I say we've got to be careful, because we've got to get the right person, the right team in. So we'll have a look at reform. But before we get there, let's listen to this journalist talk about the state of play as far as he's concerned in terms of Labour. And this is through, I suppose, the lens of the Peter Mandelson affair, or affairs.
Mandelson has now stepped down as the US ambassador. He's retired from the House of Lords, and Starmer has sacked McSweeney. Does that draw a line under all of this?
No, I mean, I think there's many ways in which this is going to play out, and one of the reasons why there's not a line under this is because now Keir Starmer is forever associated with this decision. Forever, this political project is going to be associated with the decision to appoint the best friend of the world's most notorious paedophile.
Not a great thing to put in your business card, is it?
That is the legacy of Keir Starmer at this moment.
So this could bring down Keir Starmer as well, potentially.
I think it doesn't just bring down Keir Starmer. I think this is the thing that people are struggling to deal with. And
So, just to pause, it doesn't just bring down Keir Starmer.
Currently live in this weird political vacuum. Keir Starmer is on borrowed time. He's done. There's no coming back from this. I mean, he was pretty much toast before this already because he's so deeply unpopular, and there were already moves to remove him. The problem is we now have this political vacuum because the success of the McSweeney, Mandelson, Starmer political project has been to totally take utter control of the commanding heights of the Labour Party. Its bureaucracy, but also the cabinet. The 8 most senior people in cabinet all have links to McSweeney going back years and decades. This entire political project is implicated and tainted by this scandal. And that's a real problem, because in normal governments, you'll have a cabinet which is chosen from a wide range of talents within a broad political movement. This isn't. This is a cabinet chosen from the tiniest fraction of the tiniest fraction of the tiniest fraction of the Labour Party.
Isn't that an interesting analysis? Doesn't that explanation ring true? It's like how many of us have said, who are these people? They all seem to be quite flawed. I was going to say eccentric, but no, I like eccentrics. Quite flawed in different ways, not rounded enough to be leaders. I mean, there are one or two exceptions, but my goodness, what a shower. Is that representative of Labour? I've always thought, no, I'm not alone in thinking that.
Not only are they despicable, not only are they loathed by the public, there's nobody there to take over the reins as a result, because they all tainted by it. So in this political vacuum, anything can emerge.
So, I mean, this to me is depressing, but I think accurate. I think this is true, because think about the people that are being, their names are being bandied about right now. None of them, at least for me, you go, oh yeah, thank goodness. Now there are people whose names aren't being talked about, people in the Labour Party who I think possibly could do a good job. Whether they've got the breadth of experience or not is another thing. But what Paul Holden, the journalist, is saying essentially is that at that top tier, Keir's tier, they're tainted, all of them. So just to, I suppose, almost throw in some more despair, but perhaps a little bit of humour, perhaps a little bit of levity, we need to listen to Keir, because he is wandering around and it's business as usual, he thinks. So just in case you think when I was saying he's going to keep on going, that's like me making it up, because surely he wouldn't be thinking that. Well, let's have a listen and a look at this. This is Keir speaking just about 2 days ago.
What's going on in the world, and it's volatile out there in the world at the moment, and whatever's going in the turmoil of politics.
The turmoil, yeah.
There's been quite a lot of that going on in the last few days.
Humour, able to laugh at the situation and himself. We're not laughing.
I know that for you, and for millions of people, what matters most is the cost of living. Actually paying the bills, getting through, improving living standards, public services that work.
This is true, it does matter. The most, yeah, it's going to be up there, but having a leadership team and a group of politicians, a government that doesn't come across every day as being more incompetent and frankly just a little bit corrupt. Oh, and also maybe ensuring that the rape gang inquiry is fully funded and goes ahead and is given the publicity that it needs to be given, sensitively, of course, to root out whatever the heck has been going on and perhaps still is going on for all a lot of us know, and securing those borders and making people feel a little less despondent about, particularly in some areas, what would seem like an endless stream of people who are getting housed and taken care of for whatever reason that none of us can really quite imagine. In some cases, yes, but an awful lot, no. Anyway, back to Keir.
These are the things that matter hugely for people. They're the things that we were charged with changing when we won the election. And I know that's what matters most, from personal experience. When I was growing up, we didn't have enough money to pay our bills.
I mean, honestly, this is like worse than the worst soap opera script. Yeah, okay, so like a lot of people. And your point is, Keir, because that's not you now and it's not been you for a long time, but your point is what?
And I know what it feels like to sit around the kitchen table worrying about the fact that you can't make ends meet. And that's what people...
Yeah, People now are sitting around a kitchen table worrying about what you and your government are going to do next to make them feel like they're not welcome in their own country, penalised, predated upon, surveilled, online and off. Yeah, that's what they worry about.
Doing across the country.
So, what we're going to get on to now is this clip, and it is Ben Habib being interviewed, and he's going to talk about reform. And this is back to what I was saying already. I just think it's so important for us to practice due diligence from a calm filled stance, to just be observing and thinking and not get too riled up and make the wrong decision. Reform, best known party, Reform, most PR around as an alternative to Labour and indeed the Tories and Rupert Lowe and indeed Ben Habib. But are they right? Do we need to ask more questions? So I think it's always interesting to get some behind the scenes opinions. And this, of course, is also Ben's opinion. But I think we should pay attention. So here we go. Why did Ben leave Reform?
What happened? So Reform, I think, had great promise. It launched as a grassroots movement championing the voices of British patriots, wishing to make the case for a sovereign United Kingdom, putting our borders back up, making policy for national interest, and so on and so forth. You know, the whole... It was formed out of the Brexit Party, so the Brexit Party message went, you know, through the DNA initially of Reform. But then things changed dramatically when Nigel Farage came back. And Farage, the persona of Farage, is entirely consistent with the picture that I just painted of Reform in its early days. But the reality of Farage is quite different. Farage, I don't want to go too much into detail. I think viewers probably know my views on Farage by now. But Farage is a phenomenal campaigner, a great political tactician, but he doesn't have what I would call a political philosophy. His persona of being pro-British, wearing Union flag socks and all of that, is really a false persona. He will pivot this way or that way, depending on where he feels he needs to go in order to maximise his own personal promotion and the political positioning that he wishes to take.
Which is a little bit depressing and maybe not true, Ben's opinion. However, it is important to pay attention to such opinions. I think these days, when we hear alarm bells being rung, even if it's in the distance, well, they can approach pretty quickly and suddenly there's a problem. And I've heard this about Nigel before, and I've also heard that he needs probably time to get a team around him to really consolidate what they're doing. Because if you imagine, of course, there's a lot of hard work going on, no doubt about it. And to constantly be alert, to be able to counterpunch, again, the government or anyone else, any other party, takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort. And although Nigel is gifted, no doubt about it, speaking extemporaneously, for sure, you know, a speech doth not a government make. And I think this is the point from Ben. And he goes on to say that really Ben left because he thought that Nigel would get more people around him to balance out his particular approach to things. And I think it was when that didn't happen or it wasn't apparent. So if it is going to be reform, we've got to be really careful. We need to understand who's doing what and why. You know, some people say they're all in the same club. They're all feathering their own nests. It's a fake competition. I hope not.